Welcome you to EDA customer. Today I will try to demo the one very useful EDA non-conforming data verify tool. This tool is try to help EDA customer to find out which record is non-conforming data. Why? We need to find the non-conforming data. Non-conforming data. Any field is non-conforming data. If you put the whole record, put in one field called non-conforming field. So when they put everything in one field, then the data is not usable, not visible from the remote server. Also, the non-conforming data, it's very difficult to find it. They have so many reasons to cause the issue. One major issue is varchar length is defined too small. I will demo how to find it and on my demo later. Another is the data structure. Maybe it's single value, meta sub-value. If you define the sub-value on universe is not defined schema correctly, then the whole data it became non-conforming record. Also, when you convert all the data to the remote server, then just for some record, it's non-conforming records. And sometimes you need to reconvert. It will take too long to process. So how you use this I call the tool name called EDACheckX Tool. You must be using schema EDA schema manager tool to create a schema first on Unidata file or universe file. Before you want to use an EDA schema manager connect to your server, you need to have a EDA license first. Also have this tool only support SQL Server or Oracle Server for this version. Then on the EDA schema, we have two type option called EDA map file schema option or XML option. For this tool, I using VB.NET using the toolkit driver to create a very simple .NET application connect to server. It's pretty easy to install and very high performance. So how this tool work? This tool only detect the D-type data. For the server side of SQL Server, I test so many SQL Server versions should be fine. But for the data type, I only test a couple different data type on SQL Server. For example, like a varchar, like an integer, like a real, like a datetime and day field and time field. Another database support I test on varchar, number, and date, and timestamp. So how to use the tool, I will show you on my demo. Basically, just connect to the YouTube server, then choose which schema you want to verify. They have so many options, so you can how to make a connection, how to check. They have in this tool we support 5 different types to checking your non-conforming field. They have some restriction for this tool because I put everything is a memory buffer, so I need to put some kind of the restriction on this tool. So basically, this tool max, if you use the sample data, there will be a maximum is 100,000 records. If you by default is 500. And also for the non-conforming data, you only can use a maximum 30,000 records. For the schema field checking, because I set in the buffer in the program, so maximum is 1,000. Also for they have different the schema MS table, they have a maximum 200. Also maximum record, if you using the check all function, they are restriction to 1 million records. If you more than 1 million record, then you need to use another way called checking based on the key file data. So here's a tool simple structure. If you just a simple environment, just one server, so the tool basically it's here is using the tool connect to YouTube server. Then you will try to choose the schema. Then the schema is created by EDA management tool. Then you can connect to the SQL Server or Oracle, and you will give you the error report, and you can export to the text file. For the YouTube replication, you have two YouTube servers. So the tool basically you can connect to publisher. You also might be connect to subscriber. But if you try to just verify, we suggest on the publisher the data because it's native YouTube data, so the performance is better than connect to remote server. A couple years ago, this tool I created, and we already put some feature inside the EDA Schema Manager tool. They have called Verify. They can do a very similar function on this tool, but my tool is provide more feature, more function to make it work. So next, I will try to demo my tool one by one. First, how can you get the EDACheckX tool? I will put the tool link in the comment field, so you can get the link to download it. So for the tool, you go to the browser and you just put the link, download link. From the download link, you can put on the browser. So inside the browser, you can get the EDAX tool zip file. So you basically very simple. You will put on the download folder and put it on the temp folder, temp folders. So something like this. And after you unzip it, you will create a folder called EDA. Go to the folder called EDAX 130. Yeah, this one. So after unzip it, then you can install it and run the setup. So after install it, you will get the program like this. So after you got this program, first you need to make a connection to your YouTube server. For my demo, very simple. Just provide the connection information. Just make a connection. So it's make a connection. So I on my machine have so many schema already created on the Universe server. For my demo, I tried to one particular demo called EDA D type 1. That's the because it's a simple. I just created two records. One is normal, one is the non-conforming records. So for this, on EDA, we support two different XML and also EDA map files. So on the server side, they have two different data. One is called EDA on Universe. You will see all the schema information you will store in the ampersand EDA map ampersand. And if you use another way called XML, and you will see you will basically you look like this is the folder. For example, this one, I have a state file. If you look at the output, you will see something like this is XML data. So after I still using the EDA map XML, it lets the option to you can switch. You can switch this one, so you can switch to XML function, or coming back, switch back to regular EDA map file. So I choose the EDA D type file. So that's just one. So inside, let's choose the schema first. Then you can decide, you can select all, or you can unselect, or you can using the control. You can choose couple option. So for my test, just very simple. I just select all. So I choose everything, and after I choose this checking field. So I have so many options. One, more simple, just okay, I want check 500 records, just using called check sample X. So you see this file, I find only 2 records, but I put the wrong data. So you will see so many options here. I find a 6 error for non-conforming data. For example, the first one, more simple, is this. So inside this, you click, you will see that's the data because one particular location, one, the schema defined is varchar length is 20, but I find this the maximum length is 26. So if you go back to click on the record button, it will give you the real data is 26 characters. So you know your schema defined too small, so you need to increase varchar length. So that's the first one I using the check sample X. But this one I actually already converted to remote server. So inside for this situation, this EDA type file 1 already they have one record is normal, one record is non-conforming records. So that one, so I can click the second option to checking. Basically, I just need to check one. So you find actually it's the same error. If you go back to the SQL Server side, you will see the real data on the SQL Server. I will show you on the SQL Server. Yeah, that's the EDA Schema Manager. So I will show you the real data like this. So test 01 is everything is right. Then the test 02 is non-conforming data. So if data is non-conforming data, its whole record became put it in the non-conforming fields inside the one field. So that's the second option. The third option is called check all data. So for this, because only 2 records, I can click on the 2 records, check everything. If you have many records, it will take some time to check everything for you, automatic. So that's the third option called check all data. If you're familiar with the U2 select function, you can select particular ID equal or some particular field you can like. Then you can select to using the advanced check. That's a fourth option. But the fixed option is just useful for very big data file. For example, you have a more than million records. You only want to create a particular checking particular data based on, I call it based on the key. So for example, this one's pretty simple. So I can, based on the function, I can create a key file. So I can create a key file. So inside the key file, it just create the 2 record because key ID only is 2. So I will show you output. It will be by default, everything will be in the temp folders. So in the temp folders, so here's the temp folder. I can create a key file. So that's the key test01 and test02. And actually, you can use in another way, like a select statement on the unit data or universe to using the say list in the key temporary key folder. Then you can same structure like a test01. So inside this, you can based on this key file, you can select based on key file. So you can check basically same thing because only 2 records. If I change to 1, then you will just checking 1 record. So let's just how it work for the checking. Another very powerful feature on this tool will be schema. Before go to schema site, and another function I can create called verify all date field. So the date field on YouTube is very specific. It's the range. Some customer want to set, they maybe have some date data is out of their range, so they can check based on this one. So for this, I set up by default environment. Then I can check. So you will find still have 2 records. Still have some issue. Find the 3 error because the date field is not correct. The next, I will show you. That's the varchar length. So on this version, actually, you can easy to change the. If you have a varchar length defined too small, then you can use this tool. For example, this one, they have a field just at 20. I want to increase to 30. So you can select to varchar length. Then you can change to from 20 become 30. So after update it, I set it, update to 30. So after the 30, it will become the 30. So if you go back to the schema manager, so you can see original is 20. So I can refresh. So I can close it and coming back and varchar length. And if you define maybe in the buffer, it didn't change it. So I can disconnect, coming back. So after I reconnect, you can see the schema. Up to the EDACheckX, EDA type 1, and check the schema. So right now it became 30. The next I will try to demo. It's very useful called export schema. So for this one, it's pretty simple. When I click the export schema. So you will see the export schema like this. I show you on the this one. So that's the schema. So that's the output one particular schema like this. So actually you can export that just is the text file, so easy can see it. So for some situation, you can after you do anything change, you can change on EDA schema manager tool. But sometimes you want to change by text file, but before you want to change it using the import function, make sure you have a copy or make up backup the original structures. Otherwise, you might be corrupt your schema data. So for example, I want to change the 11.3.2. I became 11.3.1 for this structure. I can save it. So after I save this file, so I can using import schema using already change it. So after I change this, you will see the schema will be changed. So after import it, I can go back to EDA Schema Manager to see what is the change. So basically, so if you are checked the first one, so that's the 20, it didn't change here because I didn't save it. So after I change the schema structure, one particular didn't change it. Oh, it's because the original is in the buffers, it's never changed. So I need to disconnect and disconnect back again. So I show you the schema. So here, schema EDA type 1. So you see schema 1. Yeah, that's the change 1131. So the data changes and refresh it. So next, another very powerful tool is called migrate. Some situation, you got the data from other systems. So for example, I can decide to which one. For example, I have this one come from other machine. So I want to import this particular file. So you can update the system from other. You can change it. For example, this. I can change the version number, or even the EDA data source name. For example, like this. So you can change it and you can update it. So after this, and you got the new schema, or I didn't change it. It's EDAX. So it basically is the same thing. You can modify and import it from other schema. So if you go back to this, you will see you will got another called EDA and new. Yeah, this is the new schema we just created. So if you have any question for the tool, so basically I provide a very help function. Also you can export the schema error. So for example, like this, I can go back to one, check all. You can select all and check all. So after you create it, you can use an export. So you can output an error to the called the temp folders. So if you have any question for this tool, basically I create a very simple guide to help you put all the information and step inside help guide. So I already created. So the guide will look like this. So all the information is here. And the last page, I will explain a little bit the version update. So if you look at I already create so many updates. On this, the latest one, I add a lot of new feature on the version 1.3.0. In the, by the way, I have each can using the EDA Schema Manager tool to do some checking. I just try to show you for this. For example, this one you can check using that is from you can check from here. They have option called EDA. You can check records to verify. You will get a similar function. But let's just a very simple version for my tool. I hope you can enjoy this is the video. So you can work on your EDA non-conforming data field using this tool on your EDA environment.